everybody. This is the 31 Days of Halloween with Raze Chaos. I am your host, Raze Chaos. I got it. I did it. Oh, I only have a few days left and I finally got that. Yeah, we'll see if I do it tomorrow. Okay. Today's episode, like, you notice that I had like a 2-part title to it. Yes, the Funko Pop that I have is the Inventor from Edward Scissorhands, but it was much bigger as far as I was concerned because this is the only Vincent Price Funko Pop that I know of. If they've made a different of any of his other characters, I can't think of one that would be done. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this is the only Vincent Price Funko Pop. Call it the Inventor if you want, but he's gonna be Vincent Price to me. It's a Funko Shop exclusive, so yeah, you gotta get it from limited edition Funko Pop, Funko Shop, whatever. It's the Inventor, and this Edward Scissorhands was Vincent Price's last movie, and in all honesty, every part of that performance in that movie, which was actually supposed to be much longer, but his health was not good, and they basically did what they could, and they didn't want to torture him much longer and let him just say that's that. But I was always, but yeah, everything about that performance in Edward Scissorhands just basically shows everything that made Vincent Price a legend. I mean, all you have to do is watch that and you'll completely understand why that man is so loved and so revered. I'm not going to say it's his best movie, but I think that movie, I mean, Tim Burton was obviously a huge Vincent Price fan, and The Inventor was actually Tim Burton made that for Vincent Price. So he catered it after the man. So obviously it was everything that everybody loved about the man. So it was the perfect role for him. Obviously it was inspired by him, which it's not the only thing that was inspired by Vincent Price. Unfortunately, Vincent Price was too old to play one of the other things inspired, and I just dropped Vincent Price right there. That was embarrassing. Raze has a problem dropping his fucking shit, especially when he really loves him. He drops shit. No, but to get back to that, yeah, one of the other things that many people watching this will know about, but may not know as a fact, is that Steve Ditko was also a very big Vincent Price fan. And if you don't know who Steve Ditko is, Steve Ditko and Stan Lee created a character called Doctor Strange. And the visual that Steve Ditko based the appearance of Steve, basically, if they made a Doctor Strange movie when he first came out in the comics, Vincent Price could have walked in and gotten that part. So yeah, he will forever be, if nothing else, Doctor Strange is still going and just starting to show up in movies, well after the man has passed. But yeah, I looked up Vincent Price's Internet Movie Database entry. He's got over 200 acting credits. Like, just, I mean, he started way back when. He, I've got the Invisible Man back here, and I showed off my Invisible Man collection. The Invisible Man Revenge, I believe, was voiced by Vincent Price. He played the second or third, I believe it was the second Invisible Man in the Universal Studios Monsters. And he played it more than once, because at the end of Abbott Costello Meet Frankenstein, they enter into a room where they see a cigarette smoking itself, and the voice they used was Vincent Price. He's not credited in that movie, but his voice is pretty unmistakable. And unlike a lot of the horror people of the time, I mean, when you think of Dracula, you think of Bela Lugosi, and a lot of times when you think of Dracula, you think of the Universal Studios version of him. And, he is Dracula, and with Boris Karloff, obviously. You think Frankenstein, you get that classic Frankenstein's monster look is that Boris Karloff brought to it. And a lot of times they try and go back to that look because it's very recognizable. The one thing that Vincent Price was able to do was, I mean, he played vampires, but, Vincent Price was Vincent Price. You don't look at him and be like, oh, he's the guy that played. No, Vincent Price was Vincent Price all the time. A lot of his movies, he had so many legendary movies. A lot of what he played were at least inspired by, at least took the name of a lot of Edgar Allan Poe stuff, like The Raven and Pit the Pendulum, and that kind of stuff was all kind of based around Edgar Allan Poe's work. And I think he was even in The Black Cat. And I mean, they weren't exactly following those stories, but they were definitely inspired by them. And yeah, he's synonymous with that. And I believe I saw somewhere where the greatest role his favorite role of all time was actually in The Great Mouse Detective, which is an animated movie from the 80s. And it's just kind of like, I mean, he was all the way up and down the spectrum. He was the abominable, he was the last man on Earth. He was the Invisible Man. He was the Fly. He was the original Fly. And then on the other hand, he was on the Muppet Show, and he teamed with Alice Cooper in Welcome to My Nightmare for a track, and even the TV special, which he practically plays a host in it, because there are a lot of different bits of scene. I've got it on DVD. Yes, I watch it regularly, but yeah. And then he was in Michael Jackson's Thriller. It's just like, he was the guy you went to for a creepy person to be in there. And I mean, his stuff is still like just something to be observed, to watch it. And I mean, he was an art collector. He wrote books, which are very worth reading. Yeah, it's like, I could just go on and on about Vincent Price. He's a legendary career. I mean, anybody. And one of the things that struck me as really fascinating was that in 1970, his daughter came out as being a lesbian. And in 1970, like, you imagine that probably wasn't really, that was pretty frowned upon, that was almost unheard of. A lot of people who came out in 1970 like have horror stories about it. But Vincent Price stood by his daughter the whole time. And, you know, you don't have anybody like freaking out that, you know, I mean, he was Vincent Price and he was going to do what he was going to do. And he was going to back up, you know, he's always on the side of support for those that he loved. And in a time where, you know, in 1970, if you came out as gay, there was a good chance you were going to be disowned by your family. And Vincent Price didn't do that, and he had a spotlight on him the whole time. So yes, I mean, he was the guy. I mean, he even voiced a character in the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, which, I mean, in all honesty, that was my introduction to him, because he played, I believe his character's name was Vincent Van Ghoul, and it was a Saturday morning cartoon. And it's just, his voice was so Vincent Price that, yeah, I mean, once you heard it, you knew it every time. And like, yeah, several of his movies are actually very, I mean, readily available at all times. You know, The House on Haunted Hill, and the aforementioned Last Man on Earth, I believe The Bat. I believe several of his movies are actually free to watch right here on YouTube. So you have no excuse. But yeah, I mean, it's not hard to have a Vincent Price marathon anytime you want. But I should look at this pop because I did drop it and I want to make sure that I didn't get it. And I think it's very apt that that the character that he's playing is holding a heart, because I mean, you just can't help but love Vincent Price, and the movie's pretty good. I do like Edward Scissorhands, but like, my love for Vincent Price overshadows that for a very strong degree, and I'm not even going to pretend like that wasn't I mean, there's very few times where I see a Funko Pop and think, I mean, yes, I have a collection, but a lot of them is like, oh, that one looks cool. That wouldn't be bad. This one, the minute I saw it, I was like, they can't send it to me fast enough. That's like, I ordered it and I was just like, I need to get this. It needs to show up as soon as possible. So yeah, this is easily I mean, I always like collected collectibles and action figures and stuff. You know, I've gone through my phases of, oh, I'm into this, now I sell it all and I'm into this. And I've kind of gone all the way around. But this will never leave my possession. Like, even if I get out of Funko Pops and want to do away with them all, Vincent Price and obviously the Alice Coopers aren't going anywhere. And yeah, Cthulhu, he's here to stay. Vanna White is going to be gone as soon as I get another Pop in a Box. Count your days. But yeah, let me know your favorite movie, or, you know, just leave something in the comments telling me what either you remember Vincent Price by. Yeah, I mean, he was always Vincent Price. I mean, he was never, you know, who's Bela Lugosi? He's the guy that played Dracula. There was never that kind of mix-up. He was never confused with one of the characters that he played, because he was always Vincent Price.
Leaving Lepidoptera, Please don't touch the displays, little boy. Oh, cute. Moving to the next aisle, we have Arachnidae, the spiders, our finest collection. This friendly little devil is the Heptathylidae, unfortunately harmless. Next to him, the nasty Lycosa raptoria. His tiny fangs cause creeping ulcerations of the skin. And here, my prize, the Black Widow. Isn't she lovely and so deadly? Her kiss is 15 times as poisonous as that of the rattlesnake. You see, her venom is highly neurotoxic, which is to say that it attacks the central nervous system, causing intense pain, profuse sweating, difficulty in breathing, loss of consciousness, violent convulsions, and finally, death. You know, I think what I love the most about her is her inborn need to dominate, possess. In fact, immediately after the consummation of her marriage to the smaller and weaker male of the species, she kills and eats him. Oh, she is delicious. And I hope he was. Such power and dignity, unhampered by sentiment. If I may put forward a slice of personal philosophy, I feel that man has ruled this world as a stumbling, demented child king long enough. And as his empire crumbles, my precious Black Widow shall rise as his most fitting successor.